December 15th, 1944. The Ardennes forest, the quietest front in the war. But beneath the snow, a fuse is lit. 250,000 men, 1,000 tanks, and a battle plan so insane, the Allies had already dismissed it as a fantasy. December 10th, 1944, 12th Army Group Headquarters, Luxembourg City. The air in the stone-walled command post is thick with the smell of damp wool, stale cigar smoke, and the metallic tang of a dozen overworked teletype machines. Outside, a biting, relentless drizzle has turned the city's cobblestones into a black mirror, reflecting the grey, indifferent sky. This is the headquarters of General Omar Bradley. And here, the war is, for all intents and purposes, won. The big map, lining the wall, tells the entire story. Thick blue arrows, representing American armies, are poised for the final, decisive thrust into Germany. The Siegfried Line is cracked. The Ruhr is threatened. The narrative is one of overwhelming victory, a race to the Rhine, and a fervent hope that everyone will be home by Christmas. In a smaller, colder office just off the main war room, Brigadier General Edwin Siebert, Bradley's G2, his chief intelligence officer, stares at a different kind of map. It's not a map of grand strategy, but a mosaic of fragments, scraps of information, seemingly disconnected data points that have been piling up on his desk for 2 weeks. Siebert is a capable, meticulous man. He is not prone to fantasy. He believes in what can be proven: fuel depots, troop numbers, railroad capacity, and the enemy's capability. And by every metric he trusts, the German army in the West is a corpse. It is hollowed out, broken, and defeated. Its capability is zero. Yet, the pile of paper on his desk refuses to be silent. It whispers a different, impossible story. He picks up the top file. It's the latest summary from the G2 of the First Army, up north in the Ardennes, a colonel named Benjamin Monk Dickson. For weeks, Dickson has been a thorn in Siebert's side. He's been called alarmist, spooked by ghosts, jumpy. Siebert reads the lines, his pencil tapping a nervous rhythm on his oak desk. Item: a new German army designation has appeared on the line. 6th Panzer Army. Not a reformed unit. A new one. Commanded by Sepp Dietrich, Hitler's most brutal SS fanatic. Item: Ultra intercepts the crown jewels of Allied intelligence, the breaking of Germany's highest-grade enigma, codespeak of massive, unexplained rail movements toward the Ardennes, not away from it. Trains are being requisitioned from the Eastern Front. Item: prisoner of war interrogations. The last two, a nervous private from the 12th Volksgrenadier Division, spoke of a gross offensive. A big attack. He mentioned his officers, telling them they would drive the Americans into the sea and celebrate Christmas in Antwerp. Item: aerial reconnaissance. Reports of searchlights, bridging equipment, and tank tracks vanishing into the dense, snow-dusted forests of the Eifel. But every time Allied planes go to look, the weather is, as the pilots say, socked in. Siebert pushes the file away. He stands and walks to his own map, the one showing the Ardennes sector. It's marked in grease pencil. Quiet sector. It's a place for green, untested American divisions like the 106th and the 28th to get their feet wet. It's a nursery and a rest home. This plan that Dickson's reports are building, it is a fantasy. It's not a capability. It's a ghost story. For the Germans to attack here, they would need what Siebert knows they do not have: tens of thousands of transport vehicles, millions of gallons of fuel, complete air superiority, a unified veteran strike force, and most of all, they would need a level of operational security and deception that the beaten Wehrmacht is surely incapable of. To believe this pile of paper is to believe that Adolf Hitler is about to stake the entire German war machine on a single, desperate, one-in-a-million gamble, in the worst terrain, in the worst weather, at the worst possible time. It is strategically insane. It is logistically impossible. Siebert has a meeting with General Bradley in an hour. He has to present the weekly intelligence estimate. He looks at the pile of reports from Colonel Dickson. This frantic, disjointed, impossible scenario. This is the plan. This is Wacht am Rheinwatch, on the Rhine, Hitler's personal, secret design, written in his own hand, locked away in a safe at his Eagle's Nest. It's a plan so secret. Most of his own generals don't even know its true scope. And here it is, a lost copy, delivered in 100 different pieces, sitting on an American general's desk. It is the single most accurate and most terrifying intelligence picture of the entire European campaign. General Siebert picks up the pile. He weighs it in his hand. He thinks of Colonel Dickson, the alarmist. He thinks of the big map next door. He thinks of the press, of Eisenhower, of the mood at Shah F. Everyone knows the war is over. He turns to his adjutant. "Get me the weekly situation. Enemy capabilities file," Siebert says, his voice flat. "And, file this. First Army noise. I don't want it cluttering up the report for General Bradley." The adjutant takes the stack of paper The Lost Battle plan and places it in a cabinet. He locks it. It is a report on ghosts, and the men at 12th Army Group headquarters have no time for ghosts. They have a war to win. December 12th, 1944, 1st Army Headquarters, Spa, Belgium. The grand, crystal chandeliered ballroom of the Hotel Britannique is anything but quiet. It's been converted into the First Army's war room, and the dissonance is stark. Gilded mirrors and velvet drapes line walls now plastered with massive acetate-covered maps, and the floor is a tangled nest of telephone wires. Here, the mood is not one of victory. It is one of high-strung, grinding tension. The officers in Spa can hear the front. They are only 15 miles from the quiet sector. In this chaotic room, Colonel Benjamin Monk Dickson looks less like a high-ranking intelligence officer and more like a haggard university professor who hasn't slept in a week. He stands before his own map, a steaming mug of black coffee in one hand, a red grease pencil in the other. He is the man General Siebert just dismissed as an alarmist. But Dickson isn't just reading reports, he's connecting them. He's not just looking at capability, he's analyzing intent. "Look at it, Major," Dickson says, his voice raspy. He jabs the pencil at the map, at the dense, dark green patch labelled Eiffel Forest. "Just look at it." His major, a young man named Bill, just sees a map. He sees the thin blue line of the 106th, the 28th, and the 99th Divisions, 75,000 men, holding a line that should be held by 250,000. "Sir," Bill ventures, "it's the same as yesterday. A few Volksgrenadier divisions, some patrol activity." "No," Dickson snaps, not unkindly. He's not angry at the major. He's angry at the silence. It's not the same. They're not Volksgrenadier anymore. Siebert and his staff in Luxembourg, they're still counting ghost divisions. They're still marking the 6th Panzer Army as refitting near Cologne. Dickson turns and snatches a flimsy teletype sheet from a spindle. It's an ultra-decrypt. It's coded, but the meaning is clear. "The refitting 6th Panzer Army," Dickson says, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "is now here." He draws a heavy red circle on the acetate, just behind the German border, right on the doorstep of the Ardennes. "But Colonel," Bill protests, "12th Army Group says that's impossible. Ultra confirms they have no fuel. They can't move a Panzer Army without fuel." "They don't need fuel if they're not moving," Dickson counters, his eyes alight with a terrible, frantic clarity. "They're waiting. They're hoarding. And what's the one thing the Wehrmacht has in spades? Horses. They're using horses to bring the men and the artillery to the line. And the trains. My God, the trains." Dickson's desk isn't just paper. It's a different kind of lost plan. It's a mosaic of train schedules. Over the last 10 days, his team has tracked over 1,500 military transport trains moving into the Eifel. That's not a defense. That's a staging. He's read the prisoner reports. He knows about Christmas in Antwerp. He's read the pilot debriefs about endless columns of something moving under the cover of the fog. He's listened to the tactical radio intercepts. The Germans have imposed a total deathly radio silence. They're communicating by field, telephone, or by runner. like it's 1917. It's a deception operation of staggering genius. They're using the Allies' own advanced intelligence against them. They know Ultra is listening, so they're not talking. They know the Air Force is watching, so they're not moving. In the day, Dickson has taken all these pieces, Sepp Dietrich, the trains, the fog, the radio silence, the Volksgrenadier private's Bostand. He has assembled them. He is holding Adolf Hitler's battle plan. It's not a single document, it's a conclusion, a terrifying, logical, unavoidable conclusion. And it is aimed, like a loaded pistol, directly at the green, untested men of the 106th Infantry Division, holding a 2 6-mile-long line in the Schnee Eifel. "Sir," Bill asks, his voice now hushed, "have you sent this to 12th Army Group?" "I've sent it 4 times, Dickson says, throwing the grease pencil onto the table. It rolls and clatters to the floor. "I've called. I've sent summaries. I've sent the raw data." He slumps into his chair, rubbing his eyes. "They just send back acknowledged. They're not reading it, or they don't want to read it. General Seibert's office told me this morning that my estimate does not align with the capabilities of a defeated enemy. They told me to stop sending speculation and stick to confirmed dispositions." Dickson looks back at his map. He sees the plan. He sees the 1,500 trains. He sees the ghost army. He sees the fog. He sees the thin blue line. He is the only man in the Allied High Command who knows, for a certainty, that the single greatest battle of the war is about to begin, and he is completely, utterly powerless to stop it. He knows the Bulge is coming. And it is coming now. December 14th, 1944. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, Chèvre. Versailles, France. The Trianon Palace Hotel, requisitioned as Eisenhower's HQ, is a world away from the mud and fog of the Ardennes. Here, immaculate British and American officers walk briskly on polished parquet floors. The atmosphere is not one of tension, but of complex, high-level administration. They are not fighting a war, they are managing its inevitable conclusion. In the main briefing, rumor-converted salon dripping with gold leaf and mirrors, Major General Kenneth Strong, Eisenhower's British G2, is delivering the daily intelligence summary. His audience includes Eisenhower's Chief of Staff, General Walter Bedell Smith, and a retinue of the sharpest minds at Chèvre. General Strong is the antithesis of Monk Dickson. He is smooth, confident, and a master of the big picture. He deals in the consensus, the known reality. "To summarize, gentlemen," Strong says, his voice resonating with cool British authority, "the enemy situation remains unchanged. The Wehrmacht in the West is, for all practical purposes, a broken reed." He gestures to the map. "It's clean, precise. We continue to track the remnants of the 6th Panzer Army, refitting near Cologne. Their fuel and replacement situation is, frankly, hopeless. Any offensive capability is negligible." He moves his pointer south, sweeping it dismissively over the Ardennes. "As for the Eifel sector, it is, as you know, quiet. The enemy holds this front with third-rate Volksgrenadier and convalescent units. They have neither the men, the matériel, nor the will for any significant action." A colonel in the back raises his hand. "General Strong, what about the reports from First Army? The ones regarding rail traffic?" Strong gives a thin, patient smile. He has heard this. It's noise from the front. "We've analyzed that traffic, Colonel," he says smoothly. "It is our assessment that this is defensive repositioning. The enemy is understandably nervous about General Patton's Third Army to the south. They are shuffling their meager reserves to brace for our next blow. Everything indicates the German is preparing to receive, not to give. This is the Chèvre consensus. It is the 12th Army Group consensus. It is the truth. The Germans are beaten. Their industry is smashed. Their fuel is gone. This consensus flows downhill. It becomes an avalanche of disbelief that buries any report to the contrary." Back in Luxembourg, General Sibert receives Strong's Chèvre summary. It is validation. His own assessment aligns perfectly with the Supreme Headquarters. The alarmist reports from First Army are just that. Then, one last report lands on his desk. It's forwarded from Spa, from Dickson's office. It's an interrogation summary, marked urgent. A German sergeant from the 352nd Volksgrenadier Division was captured just hours ago, trying to cut a telephone wire. He was arrogant, not broken. He was laughing. The interrogator's notes are verbatim. Prisoner stated, "You stupid Americans, you'll all be dead tomorrow, or in the sea. This is a quiet sector?" "This is the Sturm sector," prisoner then said. "The Führer has given us a new order. Durchbruch, breakthrough. We wait for the dawn. Tomorrow, the 16th, we attack." Siebert reads the date on the report, December 15th, 1944. Tomorrow is less than 12 hours away. He looks at the single, frantic interrogation report. Then he looks at the immaculate, logical, consensus-driven Chief summary on his other side. The lost battle plan is no longer a stack of paper. It is a single, terrifying, specific warning, with a date and a time. It's a Volksgrenadier NCO, laughing, saying, "Tomorrow." Siebert picks up the phone. But he doesn't call General Bradley. He calls Colonel Dickson's superior at First Army. "Tell Dickson to stand down," Siebert orders, his voice tired. His office is crying wolf again. We have the real picture here. We are not going to panic General Bradley or General Eisenhower with this last-minute prisoner fantasy. Is that clear? The line clicks. The lost copy of Hitler's plan, now delivered in plain spoken German, is filed away for the last time. The consensus is too strong. The truth is, simply, unbelievable. December 15th, 1944, 23, 30 hours. The Schnee Eifel, German-Belgian border. The forest is a place of absolute, primordial cold. The temperature has plunged to near zero, and the fog is so thick it's like a physical weight, clinging to the wool greatcoats of the men in the foxholes. This is the front line, held by the 106th Infantry Division, Golden Lions. Most of them are boys, barely 20 years old. They have been on this line for less than 5 days. In an outpost near the tiny village of Blyalf, Private First Class William S. Miller shivers violently, his hands jammed into his armpits. He's staring into a sea of black and white. The fog and the snow have erased all depth, all distance. The only sound is the drip of melting snow from pine branches and the occasional thwump of a clump falling to the forest floor. Then, another sound. He nudges his buddy, sleeping fitfully against the frozen dirt wall. "Hey, Sarnowski, wake up. You hear that?" Sarnowski listens. His teeth are chattering. "Hear what? It's just, dear, or something. Go back to sleep." "No," Miller whispers, his voice sharp with adrenaline. "Not dear. Listen." It's a low, grinding rumble. A mechanical, rhythmic clanking. It seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It's the sound of hundreds of metal tracks churning in low gear. It's the sound of engines, idling, coughing in the cold. It's the sound of muffled German voices, not a patrol, but thousands of them. Miller grabs the field telephone, his frozen fingers fumbling with the crank. "Blue 6, this is Gold 2. I'm hearing tanks, a lot of them, and trucks." Sounds like a whole damn army moving up on the Kiel River Road. The voice that comes back from the company CP, a mile back in a drafty barn, is tired and annoyed. "Gold 2, we've told you. The Kraut is just repositioning. It's probably our own supply trucks you're hearing on the division road. Calm down. There's nothing out there but trees." Miller slams the receiver down. He doesn't believe me. He and Sarnowski are sitting on top of 70 tons of German Königsstiger tanks. Just miles away, 250,000 German soldiers, 1,900 artillery pieces, and over 900 tanks and assault guns are in their final attack positions. They have been marched in, by foot and by horse, under the cover of this exact fog, for 10 straight nights. This is not a report on a general's desk. This is not an estimate. This is the physical manifestation of Hitler's impossible plan, breathing in the dark, ready to uncoil. Further down the line, Another GI from the 28th Division, the Keystone, reports a different kind of strange. He saw men in American jeeps, wearing American uniforms, driving toward the German lines. And just as he was about to report it, his line went dead. Across the 80-mile front, telephone wires are being cut. In Otto Skorzeni's special Trojan Horse, Brigade Panzer Brigade 150 commandos in perfect GI English and stolen uniforms are already behind the American lines, turning road signs, misdirecting patrols, and preparing to seize the crucial bridges over the Meuse River. The lost copy of the battle plan is now in motion. In Spa, Colonel Monk Dickson is still at his desk. He has given up. He is writing a final, resigned memo to his superiors, pleading for a reserve force. In Luxembourg, General Siebert is asleep. And in the Ardennes forest, 10,000 German artillerymen are checking their lanyards. They are looking at their watches. They are waiting for 5:30, December 16th, 1944. 5:30 hours. The Ardennes front. For 5 minutes, there is no sound. The rumbling has stopped. The forest is deathly silent. Private Miller is still in his foxhole, his body numb, his eyes straining so hard they burn. Then the world ends. It doesn't begin as a sound. It begins as a pressure. A giant, invisible hand slams down on the entire forest, pressing the air out of Miller's lungs. An instant later, the sound arrived, the simultaneous, deafening crack of 1,900 artillery pieces. From their foxhole, Miller and Sarnowski see the sky rip open. The black, pre-dawn horizon vanishes, replaced by a solid sheet of white-hot flashes. The shells sound like freight trains, not in the distance, but directly overhead, a sky full of them, all arriving at once. The ground doesn't shake, it explodes. The 100-foot-tall pine trees of the Schnee Eifel are tossed into the air like matchsticks. Geysers of frozen earth, steel, and splintered wood erupt 100 feet high. The American forward positions, precisely mapped by German scouts for weeks, simply cease to exist. Miller screams, but he can't hear himself. He can't hear anything but a single, continuous, mind-destroying roar that is more physical than auditory. It is the sound of the earth being torn apart. This is not a barrage. This is an annihilation. Further back, in the company CP, the field telephone that just dismissed Miller's warning vaporizes as a 210mm shell flattens the barn. All along the 80-mile front, from Monschau in the north to Echternach in the south, the green, untested American divisions are being systematically disintegrated. 5:40 hours. Spa, Belgium. Colonel Monk Dickson is jolted from a half-sleep on his office cot. The Hotel Britannique is shaking. The crystal chandeliers are not just rattling, they are swinging wildly, tinkling a frantic, glassy alarm. The sound is not local. It's a low, continuous thunder from the east, a vibration felt in the bones. His office door bursts open. It's his young major, Bill, his face pale, a telephone receiver in his hand. "Colonel," Bill shouts over the din. It's all of them. The 106th, the 28th, the 99th. All at once, they're reporting a massive artillery strike, the heaviest in the war. Lines are going dead faster than we can mark them. Dickson is already on his feet, grabbing his jacket. He looks at his map, the map with the red circles, the ghost army, the 1,500 trains. The map that Sheeff and 12th Army Group called speculation. He says only one word, SEP. 6 hours. Luxembourg City. A frantic aide shakes General Siebert awake. "Sir, General, you need to come to the war room. Now." Siebert stumbles into the big map room, pulling on his suspenders, his mind still clouded with sleep and irritation. He finds chaos. The teletype machines are clattering like madmen. The duty officers are pale, shouting into telephones. "What in God's name is this?" Siebert demands. A young signals officer turns to him, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Sir, it's the 1st Army front. The whole quiet sector. It's attacking. They are attacking." "A patrol?" Siebert snaps. "A local counterattack?" "No, sir. the officer says, his voice cracking. He points to the first flimsy report, just ripped from the machine. It's everything. The 106th reports they are under barrage from at least 4 corps of artillery. The 28th is reporting panzers. Sir, they're reporting hundreds of panzers. Sibert freezes. The consensus vaporizes in a flash of cold terror. He sees the pile of paper he dismissed, the prisoner reports, the train schedules, the alarmist colonel. He sees the arrogant German sergeant laughing. Tomorrow, we attack. He stumbles to his own desk. He fumbles with the key, throws open the locked cabinet, and rips out the file he'd hidden away Dickson's Cassandra Report. He stares at it, his hands shaking. It's not a report. It's not noise. It's the lost copy of Hitler's battle plan, and every single word of it, every impossible, speculative detail, is coming true, right now, in fire and steel, all at once. December 16th, 1944, 6:15 hours. The Schnee Eifel Ridge. The artillery has lifted. The silence that follows is, for a terrifying moment, as profound as the barrage was loud. Private Miller is alive. His ears are ringing, a high-pitched metallic whine. The air stinks of cordite, pine sap, and ozone. Sarnowski is curled in a ball, hyperventilating. It stopped. Sarnowski gasps, his words choked. It stopped. Get your rifle, Miller says. His voice is a dead, flat thing. He's staring into the grey, foggy darkness. The artillery didn't stop. It shifted. It is now walking its way back, hitting the command posts, the reserve battalions, the crossroads, the artillery batteries, everything that could have helped Miller. And then, out of the fog, they come. They don't charge. They just appear. Figures in white snow capes, moving silently through the shattered trees. They are Volksgrenadier, but they are not the old men and boys the Americans were told about. They are hard-bitten, desperate men, armed with Sturmgewehr 44 assault rifles and a fanaticism born of desperation. Behind them, the rumbling starts again. But this time, it's not artillery. It's the growl of engines. A shadow, impossibly large, looms out of the fog. It's not a tank. It's a building that moves. A 70-ton Königsteiger, King Tiger tank. Its long 88mm cannon parallel to the ground pivots and unleashes a single, deafening crack. The shell vaporizes a concrete pillbox 1,000 yards away. Miller and Sarnowski are no longer soldiers. They are just witnesses to a breakthrough. The thin blue line has not just bent, it has been atomized. 8:30 hours, 12th Army Group Headquarters. General Omar Bradley walks into the war room. The big map is already a lie. The phone next to it rings, and an officer answers, listens, and then makes a mark on the acetate overlay. It's a new red arrow, a deep, penetrating stab aimed right at the junction between the 106th and 28th Divisions, the Losheim Gap. The one place Colonel Dickson had circled, over and over, in his alarmist reports. Bradley is a calm man, famous for his methodical, unexcitable nature. He looks at the map. He looks at the frantic officers. Then he looks at his G2, General Sibert, who is standing by his own desk, his face the colour of ash. On Sibert's desk, spread open for anyone to see, is the Cassandra Report. General Sibert, Bradley says, his voice quiet, but carrying a terrible weight. This is not a defensive repositioning. This is not local. It isn't it. Sibert can only nod. He cannot speak. He points to the report, the lost copy of Hitler's plan. All of it, Sibert says, his voice hoarse. It's all in there. The 6th Panzer Army, the objective of Antwerp, the timing, the fog, the radio silence. It's the plan we said was impossible. Bradley stares at his chief intelligence officer. The what-if moment has passed. The what-if is now. The commander found the planner his subordinate did, and he buried it. Monk Dickson, Bradley says, the name dropping into the room like a stone. Get him. Get me anyone at First Army who knows what the hell is going on. Get me Patton. Get me Eisenhower. He turns back to the map. The red arrow is already being updated, pushing deeper. The 106th Division is no longer a line. It's two isolated pockets, two redoubts, on the Schnee Eifel, and Sepp Dietrich's panzers are now racing past them, pouring into the breach. The Bulge has been created. It took less than 3 hours, and the man who had the plan on his desk, the man who could have placed reserves, who could have called for air support, who could have reinforced the line, he can do nothing but watch the red arrows on the map get deeper, exactly as the lost copy had predicted. December 16th, 1944, 10 hours. Chef Headquarters, Versailles. The news arrives at the Trianon Palace, not as a thunderclap, but as a series of confusing, contradictory, and deeply unsettling teletype messages. The atmosphere of calm, administrative victory evaporates. General Walter Bedell Smith, Eisenhower's notoriously tough and abrasive chief of staff, is standing in front of General Strong, the British G2. In his hand, Bedell Smith is crushing a flimsy signals sheet. Negligible capability? Bedell Smith's voice is a low, dangerous growl. A broken reed, you said. General, I have reports of 5 new Panzer divisions that you told me didn't exist currently rampaging through the 28th Infantry's front. General Strong is pale, his composure shattered. Walter, it cannot be a major offensive. It must be, a spoiling attack. A limited, local objective, perhaps to gain time. Time? Bedell Smith barks. They are not attacking to gain time. They are attacking us. This is not local. This is an eruption. The doors to the briefing room open, and General Dwight D. Eisenhower enters. The casual, smiling, Ike is gone. His face is granite. He looks at the map, at the frantic red arrows being drawn on the acetate by a trembling aide. He looks at his G2, General Strong, and then at Bedell Smith. Tell me, Eisenhower says, his voice flat. All hell has broken loose, sir, Bedell Smith says. The entire First Army front in the Ardennes is collapsing. Eisenhower walks to the map. He is a master of logistics, of the big picture. He sees the red arrows pointing not just at the front, but through it, aimed directly at the massive Allied supply dumps at Liège, and, beyond that, the vital port of Antwerp. He looks at the single, massive, red bulge appearing on his map. Get me Omar, get me Hodges, get me Patton, Eisenhower says, his voice like ice, and get me every scrap of intelligence we have on this. Every scrap. The ones we've read, and the ones we haven't. The room freezes. It is a direct, stinging rebuke of his own intelligence chief. 11 hours. First Army Headquarters, Spa. The Hotel Britannique is in a panic. The sound of artillery is no longer a distant rumble. It is close. The breakthrough is so complete, so fast, that German panzers are now only 10 miles from Spa. The First Army Headquarters is, itself, about to be on the front line. Colonel Monk Dickson is in the center of the chaos. But he is no longer frantic. He is eerily calm. The time for warning is over. The time for reaction is here. He is coordinating the reports, trying to make sense of the chaos, trying to find a line, any line, that is still holding. An aide runs up to him, holding a decrypted signal. Colonel, it's from Chef, from General Eisenhower's office. Dickson takes the paper, expecting an order to evacuate, a reprimand, anything. He reads the signal. Urgent. To G2, First Army. Require immediate transfer of all recent enemy estimates, analysis, and raw data pertaining to Eifel sector, regardless of previous assessment. Eisenhower. Dickson looks at the paper. Then he looks at the stacks of reports on his desk, the Cassandra Report, the prisoner interrogations, the train schedules, the impossible plan he had assembled, piece by agonizing piece. The very reports that 12th Army Group and Shah-EF had dismissed as noise and speculation. He is being asked to send, to the Supreme Commander, the very lost copy of Hitler's plan that everyone had refused to read. Bill, Dickson says to his major, his voice heavy with the terrible weight of vindication, get the files, all of them, send all of it. The truth was there, It was written on their desks, it was in their file cabinets, it was laughed at, dismissed, and locked away. And now, as the American front disintegrates, as the 106th Division is being encircled and destroyed, as the battle that will define the rest of the war begins, the lost plan is finally, and far too late, being read.